Hey there, folks. Welcome back to our channel. Today, we're diving into an essential topic for any survival enthusiast: different ways to start a fire. Knowing how to light a fire is crucial in emergency situations for cooking, staying warm, or just creating a more comfortable environment. I'll show you how to do this using specific equipment, natural items, and even common household things. Let's get started. Before we dive into the details, don't forget to check out our survival guide linked in the comments. It's packed with tips and tricks to keep you ready for anything. Using specific equipment: flint and steel. Flint and steel are classic survival tools. To use, hold the flint firmly in one hand and the steel in the other. Scrape the steel against the flint in a quick, firm motion, directing the sparks onto your tinder like cotton or dry leaves. Practice the technique to gain confidence and ensure you can produce enough sparks to start a fire. It's important to choose a high-quality flint and keep the steel sharp to maximize spark production. Also, familiarize yourself with different types of tinder that respond well to sparks, like birch bark, dry grass, or even cotton balls soaked in petroleum jelly, which prolongs the burn. Lighter. A lighter is one of the easiest and fastest ways to start a fire. Butane lighters are especially efficient. Ensure your lighter is full and in good working order. Use it to light your tinder directly. Remember to carry a windproof lighter in adverse weather conditions. Also, consider having more than one lighter as a backup since they can fail or run out of fuel. To maximize efficiency, keep your tinder dry and protected from the wind while lighting. Waterproof matches. Waterproof matches are essential in wet environments. They are treated with chemicals to ensure they ignite even when wet. Keep them in a waterproof container to ensure they remain dry and usable. To light, simply strike the match against the abrasive surface and direct the flame to the tinder. A pro tip is always to have a reserve of matches in an airtight container and add some cotton to help with initial combustion. If possible, buy high-quality matches and test them in different conditions to ensure their effectiveness. Magnifying glass. A magnifying glass can be used to concentrate sunlight and start a fire. On a sunny day, hold the lens so that the sun's rays pass through it, focusing the light on a small point on the tinder. This can be a bit time-consuming, but with patience, the concentrated heat will cause a flame. Make sure to use highly flammable tinder, such as dry leaves or small twigs. This method is sustainable and can be used repeatedly as long as there's sufficient sunlight. It's a useful technique for daytime camping or survival situations where other methods aren't available. Using natural items. Bow and drill. The bow and drill is an ancient and effective technique for starting a fire using only natural materials. You'll need a spindle, a straight stick, a bow, a curved piece of wood with a string, a fireboard with a small cavity, and a stone or shell to press down the spindle. Rub the spindle rapidly against the fireboard using the bow to spin it. The friction will create heat and eventually embers, which can be transferred to the tinder. This technique requires practice and endurance, but is extremely rewarding when mastered. Find the right wood, such as cedar or poplar, which have low ignition points and facilitate ember creation. Natural flint. If you find natural flint and steel, you can use the same principle as synthetic flint and steel. Strike the flint against the steel to create sparks. Direct the sparks onto dry tinder, such as tree bark or plant fibers. This method requires practice, but is a valuable skill in survival situations. Experiment with different types of stones and metals to discover which produce the best sparks. Learn to identify natural flint in your environment and practice the technique regularly to ensure you're prepared when needed. Fungi and birch bark. Some fungi, like tinder fungus and birch bark, are excellent natural tinder materials. They catch fire easily and burn well. Collect these materials and use them as a base for your sparks or embers. They can be used in combination with other fire-starting techniques. When collecting fungi, make sure they are the correct types that burn well. Birch bark, with its high concentration of natural oils, is particularly effective and can be scraped into fine strips to facilitate ignition. Combine these materials with techniques like the bow and drill or flint to maximize your chances of success. Using common household items. Cotton and petroleum jelly. Cotton balls soaked in petroleum jelly make excellent homemade tinder. The petroleum jelly is flammable and prolongs the burn of the cotton. To use, rub a small amount of petroleum jelly into cotton balls and keep them in a waterproof container. When you need to start a fire, use a lighter, match, or sparks to ignite the cotton. This method is extremely effective and reliable. The cotton balls soaked in petroleum jelly can burn for several minutes, giving you enough time to add larger fuel and stabilize the fire. Battery and aluminum foil. You can start a fire using a battery, like a AA battery, and a piece of aluminum foil. Fold the aluminum foil into a U shape and touch one end to the positive and negative terminals of the battery. The short circuit will generate enough heat to ignite the foil, which can then be used to light the tinder. This technique is practical and efficient, especially in situations where you have limited access to other fire-starting methods. Make sure to have enough aluminum foil and batteries in good condition. Practice the technique in a safe environment to familiarize yourself with the process and ensure you can perform it effectively in an emergency. Steel wool and car battery. If you're in an emergency with a car, you can use steel wool and the car's battery to start a fire. Connect a wire to the positive terminal of the battery and another to the negative terminal. Touch the free ends of the wires together over the steel wool. The resulting spark should be enough to start a fire. This method can be used in urban survival scenarios or roadside emergencies. Be careful when handling the batteries and wires, as the short circuit can produce intense sparks. Use tinder that burns quickly and always maintain a safety reserve when attempting this technique. Fire techniques in adverse conditions. Fire in wet conditions. Starting a fire in wet conditions can be challenging. Use dry tinder, such as cotton balls soaked in petroleum jelly, and protect the initial fire from wind and moisture. Build a shelter for the fire using rocks or branches, and keep a reserve of dry materials on hand. Dry kindling or the inner bark of dead trees can be drier and catch fire more easily. Prepare the fire site by removing wet vegetation around it and using dry surfaces whenever possible. Have patience and keep trying, even if it takes longer than usual. Fire at high altitudes. At high altitudes, the oxygen is thinner, which can make starting and maintaining a fire difficult. Use techniques that maximize spark and heat production, such as flint and steel or bow and drill. Choose tinder that burns quickly and is very dry. Position yourself in a sheltered area to avoid wind extinguishing the flame. Consider building a heat reflector with rocks to concentrate the heat around the fire. Adapting to high-altitude conditions requires patience and practice, but with time and experience, you can light and maintain a fire effectively. Fire in strong winds. In strong winds, it's crucial to create a shelter for the fire to prevent it from going out. Build a barrier using rocks, logs, or even your own body to block the wind. Use tinder that ignites quickly, like cotton balls soaked in petroleum jelly, and keep a supply of fine, dry kindling nearby. Light the fire on a solid, dry base, like a wood platform or a layer of tree bark. Protect the initial flame and gradually feed the fire with larger fuel as it grows. Additional fire-starting tips. Maintaining equipment. Keep your fire-starting equipment in good condition. Ensure your lighters are full, matches dry, and flint and steel always sharp. Store your equipment in waterproof containers and keep a reserve of tinder, such as cotton balls soaked in petroleum jelly, in your survival kit. Regular maintenance will ensure your equipment is always ready for use. Familiarize yourself with each tool and practice regularly to ensure you can use them effectively in emergencies. Regular practice. Regular practice is essential to master fire-starting techniques. Experiment with different methods and tinder in various weather conditions to prepare for any situation. Participate in survival workshops and practice with other enthusiasts to exchange tips and improve your skills. Constant practice will increase your confidence and effectiveness in lighting a fire when you need it most. Consider documenting your experiences and progress, which can serve as a reference guide and help identify areas that need improvement. Fire safety. Safety is paramount when starting a fire. Choose safe and appropriate locations, away from dry or flammable vegetation. Always have water or sand on hand to extinguish the fire if it gets out of control. Never leave a fire unattended, and ensure it is completely extinguished before leaving the site. Follow local regulations on campfires and outdoor fires to avoid fines or incidents. Starting a fire is an essential skill every survival enthusiast should master. With practice and preparation, you can learn to light a fire using a variety of methods and materials, from specific equipment to natural items and common household objects. No matter where you are or the conditions you face, knowing how to start a fire can make the difference between comfort and adversity. So, folks, that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed these tips on how to start a fire. Practice these techniques and, above all, stay safe. If you liked the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon to not miss any new content. See you next time, and remember, keep the flames burning